So I'm continuing my conversation about dimensions of diversity from Detroit to DC to Dubai, which is my personal journey. And one of the other stories that I think about, and it is a dimension of diversity, when I moved to DC and started my work, I was at the Library of Congress. I was in what was called the Congressional Research Service. I started as a policy analyst, which is another word for policy advisor to the US Congress. And I was in the tax section. So I had public finance and my background as an economist. I had my PhD. And I started working with this team of individuals that were primarily older white men. I think there was one woman, maybe in a team of like 10. And it was definitely an experience of a challenge in the world of inclusion and belongingness. Now, these were lovely individuals. They welcomed me, warm, personable. There were probably, if there were 10, then maybe 8 of them had been together and at that job for, 15 years. And then there were some newbies, and I was one of the newbies. But I just had my son. My son was 6 or 7 months old. And I remember one of the, besides feeling unsure of myself as this African-American woman in this team of white men, for the most part, older white men. So I was already kind of unsure of myself and, do I have what it takes? And I don't know. And I definitely don't feel like I fit in. How do I fit in? Which is a part of anybody's question. Anybody has that question. That's what diversity is about. And the real opportunity is to be aware that people have that question, even if they don't ask, and to make your choice. And, as a leader in your community, in your workplace, wherever, you can be proactive in ensuring that inclusion's happening, that a sense of belonging gets created. And I definitely, I had that. I had a couple people take me under their wing and tell me what I needed to know and offer me advice and give me work. But one of the things I was dealing with at the time was I was breastfeeding and I needed to pump milk during the day at work. So not only did I have the experience of being the minority, and now that was my section. I was in a division that probably had 100 people in it, and maybe I was one of 4 African-American women, maybe 6. And only 2 or 3 of us were analysts. There were others who were administrative staff. But in the world of, the policy advisors themselves, I think there was only one other Black woman. However, the point is I already had that issue for myself of, do I belong? Can I earn my way? Will people think I just got here because they needed to hire a minority? But separately, I was dealing with being a new mom and needing to pump milk during the day. And I didn't have a place to do it except at my desk. And I had an office that didn't have a door. Later, I joined the union and became part of a team that created new facilities in the building for women who needed to breast pump. But at that time, and it was 2004, we didn't have a place. And I remember having to go to one of the furniture stores and buy one of those three panel divider type things to just put across the doorway, kind of the entryway to my cubby. I was in a room that really was split in half with 2 offices, and it was an open doorway area, so anybody could just walk in. And even with that panel up, the height of the cubbies and stuff was such that if somebody wanted to, they could just peek over and see what was happening. And I wound up not being particularly successful, and my milk actually dried up. And I wound up probably by the end of 2003. So September is when I started that job, and by December, I wasn't breastfeeding anymore. And sometimes, I like, oh, I don't know, what would be different if I could have. But bottom line was, it was another example in the workplace of me, needing to concern myself with, did I fit in? Do I belong? Is it going to be okay? Is somebody going to come knocking? And I actually put a little sign up on the panel. So when I opened the panel to block access to me and the desk, I actually had to put a sign to say "Do not disturb," so that I could be less concerned about somebody coming in and interrupting and seeing something. I literally, other than having my back to this panel, I didn't have much going on. So if you walked up and looked over the side, you could see that she doesn't have her shirt on. This is not a comfortable experience in the workplace. So in terms of dimensions of diversity and inclusion, the notion that employers now have facilities for women for this kind of activity is a really good it's an indicator. It's a good example of, do you have spaces for the people who are diverse to go to? Another issue that comes up nowadays is gender specific bathrooms versus gender neutral bathrooms for those individuals for whom there's an issue about which bathroom do I use because of their gender orientation and their status. So it's an example of an opportunity to notice where you could be inclusive, where you can be proactive about it, and where you can also be responsible for people's sense of belonging, and being able to check in on, are you okay? Is this going okay? Do you need anything? Nobody really asked me that, and it would have been nice if they did. And it's just what was so then. Luckily, 2 years later, I was in a position to really make a difference with the organization, and a new mom who had the same thing. And the other thing about it, come on, I'm catching the subway to work with my kid, and at that time a rather big box that is the breast pump and my work bag. So there's all kinds of stuff going on when people are in these circumstances, and the opportunity to offer support and offer resources that make it easier for them is a great opportunity for employers to really show up and shine. So I share that as a dimension of diversity that I've experienced, and as a way to really continue the conversation to look. When we have inclusiveness, when people feel like they're at home and they belong in their workplaces, they can focus on doing their best work. They can be their best self. They can have a sense of community where they're flourishing and thriving. And I promise you, when people flourish and thrive in your workplace, they show up for you and performance results. They help you cut costs with bright ideas because they care. They help innovate and create new ways to do things more efficiently, or come up with brand new products and new ideas and ways to be of service. There's all kinds of benefits, and it's proven in the literature. It's not just Pam's opinion, that this happens when inclusiveness and belonging are there. So it's not just diversity, check the box. It's have those people with those diverse backgrounds and needs feel taken care of and feel like they belong. Thanks for listening. Continue with me along my journey from Detroit to DC and Dubai as we look at dimensions of diversity. Take care.